Caleb, a self-respecting man who was a slave for 30 years in Brookhaven, Mississippi, fortunately managed to buy himself and his wife, Esther, out of slavery 10 years before the American Civil War, where the North would defeat the South over the conflict that the South wanted to keep the institution of slavery. So after the war, Caleb went out to the battlefield to search for anything that was valuable upon the dead, only to find and next rescue a wounded lieutenant of the Confederate Army named Travis Parham, who was laying within the field on the brink of death. So Caleb brought him back to his wooden home by Flywater Creek. He shared with his wife and 2 sons, Jacob and Joseph. And although not a doctor, he began to surgically remove bullet fragments out of Travis's body, who would next finally regain consciousness after 4 days. So thereafter, together, they went on to work in Caleb's land, cutting trees down and uprooting the stumps for a month, as Travis's services paid off his debt 50 times over for what Caleb did for him. Surprisingly, Travis was not yet willing to leave, since he had no family or nowhere to go after the war. Following this, when Travis was visiting the old battlefield, he would suddenly have a vision of a form of hell, where the walking dead was led by an entity with a flaming head, before Caleb snapped him out of his trance. Succeeding this, after 2 years living with the Caleb family, Travis would finally leave to head out west, where it was more lucrative, and hopefully afterwards invite Caleb and his family to come out there and live with him when he became successful. Unsurprisingly, Caleb gifted Travis his horse to have for a means of transportation before bidding his good friend goodbye. Unfortunately, after Travis left, Caleb and his family would be raided by 12 white supremacists wearing hoodies while on horseback, led by George Reagan, a slave owner, who along with his men went around attacking former slaves, Native Americans in their settlements while proclaiming to take back their stolen rights and lands, as they committed only the ultimate vilest acts of evil. So Reagan and his men, that consisted of 4 members of the Dragwells family, along with the Coulter brothers, who were with Holly and his son, that was accompanied by Banjo, Nightshade, and Sergeant Billy, forced Caleb to helplessly watch as each and every one of them took turns violating his wife in the worst way possible, before Reagan tragically ending her life with his knife. Following this, they mercilessly nailed Caleb's 2 sons to a tree before heinously shooting them to death. Then next, sadly ending Caleb's own life with stomach-churning chops from a sharp machete. So as time progressed, Travis will finally come back to visit the Caleb's farm after 2 years, and next shockingly find out the devastating news and how the Coulter brothers took back their grandfather's land Caleb rightfully brought with his hard-earned money. Nevertheless, Travis would shoot and kill one of the Coulter brothers named Rufus, a skinny tobacco-chewing hillbilly-looking fellow, while after dragged the fat sloppy other brother behind on his horse, before ending his life with 2 bullets. Moreover, Travis decided to go out and serve his own form of justice and seek out the murderous Reagan and his gang, since local law enforcement had little regard for the life loss of a black family. Meanwhile, spine-chillingly, Caleb would rise from the dead with eyes that burn like coals, while being imbued with the power of the spirit of vengeance, becoming the legendary Ghost Rider, as he tracked each and every one of the murderers, sadistically playing mind games with them before slowly and viciously taking their life, which the first being the Dragwells, that consisted of 2 sons, their father and uncle, as the Ghost Rider went on to possess the corpse of the deceased using his mind, while communicating through them with his own voice to deliver his wanted message of their inevitable demise. Thereafter, the Ghost Rider, who could traverse through dimensions and back, captured Billy with his chain and went on to torture him by dragging him behind his ghostly horse, before shooting hellfire from his eyes towards a tree in order to demonstrate his destructive capabilities to the now 5 remaining gang members. Interestingly, thereafter, a terrified Reagan would seek out and pay a Native American shaman for a solution to his paranormal problems, although he and his now petrified men prior savagely murdered a different tribe of natives 2 days ago. Moreover, the shaman confidentially suggested to Reagan he go about doing a sacrificial ritual in the cover of night in order to sell his soul to the evil one in exchange to live forever. Not long after, Banjo would be next to suffer for his many crimes of evil towards women, when it was Travis who blew off his leg and put a hole in his chest with a buffalo gun. Following this, they would discover Billy laying within a field before he was violently dismembered by 4 horses, after his arms and legs were chained to each one, and then forcibly pulled apart. Succeeding this, the terror-stricken men once again would encounter the silent Ghost Rider, who could manipulate reality by making the remaining 4 gang members return to the same place they thought they escaped after riding off on a straight path, but was instead brought to the same field in order to horrifyingly witness Banjo, who appeared still alive, ravenously being consumed by vultures. Subsequently, Travis would take notice of the supernatural activity and come to the conclusion the Ghost Rider was Caleb, who shockingly bargained with his African god beneath the earth that had no name and was never much on protecting, but only good to set right the wrongs that was done. Furthermore, Holly's son would be next to feel the cold steel chain of the Ghost Rider, who quickly snatched him up, as his horrified father frantically tried to chase down the Ghost Rider in order to attempt to rescue his boy, who was mercilessly being dragged before the Ghost Rider abruptly changed directions to head towards the remaining 3 men, before shockingly also grabbing Holly and fusing him together with his son in a sick and bloody blend of human flesh. When also suddenly Travis shot and damn near blew off Nightshade's arm before the Ghost Rider made his final stance against Reagan and Nightshade by conjuring up a ring of fire to surround them. However, Reagan quickly and desperately ripped out the heart of the deceased combined father and son duo to begin eating while trying to offer Nightshade some, who was visibly disgusted and disturbed, not wanting to join what he believed was Reagan's sick, twisted, delusional ritual of foolishness, when shockingly, Reagan pulled out his own revolver, shooting and killing Nightshade before turning the weapon on himself to end his own life and deprive the Ghost Rider of his final vengeance. Unfortunately, Reagan had completed the rite, so as time progressed, he would finally emerge with 5 of his men from a blood-red fog that descended on the settlement of Pike's Ridge to seek out their revenge against the Ghost Rider by trying to draw him out, as they slaughtered every person they came across, as well as violating women and children, before they went on to track down Travis, which Demon Nightshade would get his revenge when he ripped Travis's arm off his shoulder before he took him outside with other captives, in hopes it would attract the presence of the Ghost Rider, which it inevitably did, as the Ghost Rider made his presence known, before next attacking and incinerating Demon Holly, who was still fused with his son, sending them back within the depths of perdition. So the 3 remaining demons decided to start massacring their captives in hopes the Ghost Rider would surrender, which backfired, as mortal blood meant nothing to him because they would be avenged, as he next went on to also take the demon Billy back to the land of Damnation. So Demon Nightshade decided to brutally attack Travis, while Demon Reagan was being manhandled by the Ghost Rider. So Demon Nightshade threatened to kill Travis, which they forced the Ghost Rider to surrender and revert back to Caleb, who next tried to get Travis to flee to safety. However, Travis ignored him and was inadvertently brought into the demonic plane of existence, where Caleb reverted back into the Ghost Rider in a massive burst of hellfire, consuming them all and finally putting an end to those responsible for his and his family's death, as he vanquished them back to the land of eternal punishment. Succeeding this, Travis was now forever damned for his role in the quest for vengeance, but was allowed to keep his life and brought back to the land of the living. That being said, Caleb is Marvel Comics' Ghost Rider from the late 1800s.